Maybe the greatest dunks in the history of the game.
Here's how special the slam dunk is. If you want to be celebrated and remembered at a halftime presentation with even a featured video, there's 3 ways to do it. First, win a championship. Then you can come out with the whole team and feel like a hero. Second, be a God-blessed superstar. Typically, you're going to lead your team in scoring for 5 to 10 years, take your team deep in the playoffs, and overachieve. Number 3, dunk the funk out of the ball. Just once. Do it one good time, and bam! You'll never be forgotten. This is not the case with any other play across all of sports. Of course, time and place helps, like if it's a playoff dunk, then sheesh. And if it's on top of another team's star, then you might as well retire the rim.
In your face, Kevin Johnson! Oh my!
But here's what I mean. You guys all remember this dunk. On this dunk's anniversary, they had a full-blown halftime celebration for the dunk.
You'll be seeing that on your local newscast.
A dunk from a series that Kevin Johnson and the Suns lost. A dunk from an actual game that they lost is vaulted and celebrated 20 years later. So let's raise the stakes. Now to our topic of the day. This is what I consider a non-disputable fact. This dunk and sequence and culmination of story threads makes for the best dunk in the history of basketball. And I'm not just saying this to be dramatic, I mean it literally. This is the best dunk in the 70 years of professional basketball. Roll it. Sure, there's trickier dunks. There's fancier dunks. There's even more important dunks. Maybe I might just be saying that, just to get a third thing. But this dunk and surrounding occurrences check every box, fills in every bubble to pass as GOAT dunk. GOAT dunk. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna dive deep into this one, okay? This might take a while. All right, let's introduce all of the main characters in our GOAT dunk play. Let's start at the top. Scottie. First of all, Scottie is the quintessential sidekick. Other than Robin, he is actually the reference for sidekicks. If you're ever trying to discuss a sidekick status, it goes Batman, Robin, then Michael Scottie. That is it. So ironically, being the sidekick of Air himself, the dunk master general, being the sidekick of the man, to end up with the best dunk in the history of dunks is a little ironic and maybe fulfilling. It's sweet, it's deserving maybe. Okay? But Scottie, even the name Scottie, I don't believe that's short for anything. It's not Scottathon, Scottathy, Scott-UL. It's just Scottie. I looked it up. His real name is Scottie. If you were trying to construct a textbook sidekick, you'd come up with a name similar to Scottie. A slightly inferior sounding name. It's one that stands beside the main name. It's not Scott. It's not Michael and Scott. Michael Scott. That's funny. It's Michael and Scottie. Like Jimmy. Jimmy Olsen. Even to an extent, Bucky. Captain America's superhero sidekick. Then Snoopy, Chewie, Scottie, Ernie, Trinity, Donkey, Dory, Penny. If there is a key to naming a sidekick, give them a name that fits perfectly on a 5-year-old. Scottie. Next, good old Patrick Ewing. One of the last of his kind. A true center. We do have to give him some nobility points here because, well, what he's doing by trying to get under this and block it, that's a very respectable thing to attempt. I don't think there's a star player in the past 15 years that would get between the hoop and this particular attempt. A lot of folks will try to slap it away from behind, but not here. Patrick fits his role perfectly. He's a perfect 7-footer, which is perfectly casted. If you're talking about the best dunk of all time, well, it has to be over a 7-footer, right? If he's 6'10", well, we probably don't even mention the height, but as a true 7-foot giant, it becomes another detail, another legend step to the top of the mountain. And he was known as a shot blocker. It's peak everything. Patrick was averaging 3 blocks a game in those playoffs, the 94 playoffs. 21 points and nearly 12 rebounds and 3 blocks. And of course, the elephant missing from the room, the character that is not present, since this was 1994. Do you remember what was different about 1994? This was Scottie's solo act, Jordan Free. Jordan was out whiffing at baseballs, getting high on the back of buses, or gambling on the back of buses, doing something illegal. And don't even play yourself here. Our little Jimmy, Scottie,
To lead all scores.
almost won MVP that year.
Scottie Pippen, definitely a contender with Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson for MVP.
They won 55 games, and Scottie's number 2 was Horace Flipping Grant with 15 points a game. You know who his number 3 was? B.J. Armstrong with 14 points a game. What? We talk about these super teams. This team was basically the 2016-17 Oklahoma City Thunder, except if Russ would have taken his team to the Western Conference semifinals all the way to 7 games. This is really one star and a collection of basketball players, professional basketball players, a lot who have just wandered from team to team over the years. I mean, Tony Kukoc wasn't that year. Also, you know how many all-star appearances the players on that team have accumulated? Between all of those players, minus Scottie Pippen, all of the players on the Bulls team, there were only 2. And both of them were questionable, especially the B.J. Armstrong one. That year, he made the all-star team as a starter. And I believe that's just because people are so used to giving the Bulls 2 that they had to fill in another bubble. So they gave it to B.J., who would never make another all-star team. But the Bulls were kicking ass. And this was an intense series with the Knicks. This is game 6 of a 7-game series. It was real. Patrick knew this may be his only real chance. And Scottie, he had the weight on his shoulders all on him. Finally. Okay, next character. Spike Jeffrey Lee. Spike. By 1994, we had reached quintessential purified Spike. He was already on top of the world with his Do the Right Thing movie from a few years back. The campaign with Michael Jordan as Mars, that was in full effect.
Do you know how I get up for my game? Do you know? That's right. Air Jordan, Air Jordan, Air Jordan.
And this was the same playoff that would give us the choke. Remember the choke? If you don't know, when he got into a heated talk battle with Reggie Miller.
Miller in an animated discussion with Spike Lee.
Spike talked so much trash. Reggie Miller iconically put his hands around his neck, signaling what he thought of the Knicks. They were choking. They were known for choking, actually, and blowing it. And Spike got credited for igniting a Reggie Miller explosion, 25 points in a fourth quarter, to take a 3-2 lead over Spike's hometown.
What about Spike Lee? Spike who? We will see you on Friday.
This dunk was the series before that. It wasn't Spike's introduction to the sideline trolling god status, but these playoffs were Act 1.
I never ever had any interplay with an athlete before like that, ever.
Yo, Mars Blackman here with my main man, Michael Jordan.
Spike Lee was almost a decade into his partnership with Michael Jordan, co-starring in those quote-unquote memorable commercials. He's a deadpan hype man based on his character
Mars Blackman, and this is my main man, Michael Jordan.
This character worshipped Mike. But then the guy who plays that guy shows up to games and talks the most possible. All 4'11" of him, standing up on the sideline like he owns the court, feeling big and probably superior to a lowly sidekick like Scottie. Spike was big. Spike only hung with the man, the coolest of the kids. He didn't make appearances with Scottie. Scottie didn't even have a shoe, which is crazy by today's standard. Everybody has a shoe. Quentin Richardson had a shoe. Scottie didn't get his own signature shoe until 1999. This seems absurd. The disrespect. Speaking of disrespect, have you seen his statue? This is what they call a bust, I guess. But this is his statue. The guy who is also a key part of every single one of their championships gets this. It looks like he's standing in a box. It basically looks like that somebody put a Scottie Pippen statue inside of a garbage can. That's what it looks like. But anyway,